Planning for the future was a luxury most medieval people could not afford. Life unfolded too close to uncertainty. Hunger, illness, violence, and sudden loss were not distant possibilities, but constant companions. When survival depended on today's outcome, tomorrow felt abstract and unreliable. The future was not ignored out of ignorance, but pushed aside as something beyond control. Daily life trained people to think in short intervals. The body needed food now. Work had to be done now. Danger could appear without warning. Under such pressure, long-term thinking lost its practical value. Planning assumed stability, and stability was rare. People learned that effort invested too far ahead often dissolved before it could return anything. What mattered was getting through the next day without collapse. The social environment reinforced this mindset. Most individuals had little power to change their circumstances. Birth defined position, labor defined routine, and authority defined limits. When choices are narrow, planning becomes symbolic rather than effective. Imagining a different future did not make it more reachable. It only highlighted how distant it was. For many, it felt safer not to imagine at all. Religion and authority also shaped this relationship with time. Suffering was presented as expected. Endurance was valued over transformation. Life was framed as temporary and unstable by design. This perspective reduced the incentive to invest emotionally in the future. The present was something to endure, not a stepping stone toward improvement. Hope was allowed only in controlled forms, never as a plan. Psychologically, constant threat narrowed attention. Fear compresses time. When danger feels permanent, the mind prioritizes immediate signals and short-term responses. Long-term goals require a sense of continuity, a belief that effort accumulates. For most medieval people, life felt fragmented. Progress could be undone overnight. Planning began to feel naive, even reckless. Families transmitted this logic silently. Children observed how quickly conditions changed and how little preparation mattered. They learned to adapt, not to anticipate. Skills focused on resilience rather than projection. Knowing how to endure mattered more than knowing how to advance. The future was treated as something that happened to you, not something you shaped. Over time, this produced a culture oriented around reaction rather than intention. People adjusted to circumstances instead of building toward outcomes. This was not passivity. It was realism shaped by experience. Planning required trust in systems, resources, and time itself. When none of these felt reliable, the future remained distant, undefined, and largely irrelevant to daily survival. When the future could not be controlled, people invested in what was immediate. Shelter, food, tools, and labor became central concerns. Every decision was filtered through the lens of survival. Savings, property, or long-term projects were dangerous illusions. Resources could be lost to fire, theft, illness, or crop failure at any moment. What seemed like planning was often a form of cautious hoarding, designed to manage risk for days or weeks, never years. This immediacy shaped behavior and relationships. Alliances, work, and trust were measured by short-term usefulness. Loyalty was conditional, attention finite. People could not rely on distant promises or abstract obligations. Every social interaction carried the weight of practical consequence. Planning for events beyond immediate needs felt irrelevant because social and natural forces were unpredictable, and human effort alone could not secure safety or prosperity. Psychologically, living without long-term plans enforced a constant tension. Anxiety was compressed into the present. People learned to anticipate only the next challenge, the next meal, the next season.
Emotional energy was directed toward managing immediate risk, rather than imagining improvement or advancement. This focus preserved life, but limited vision, creating a cycle where the future remained unknowable and largely unprepared for. Yet within this limitation, people developed resilience. Adapting quickly, improvising, and enduring became central skills. The inability to plan far ahead did not mean inactivity. It meant acting decisively in the moment, conserving energy for what could be controlled. The mind trained to react sharply, to sense danger, to navigate scarcity. Survival required this focus, even if it came at the cost of longer-term security. Over generations, this shaped culture and social structures. Families, communities, and labor systems evolved to manage immediate threats rather than create long-term strategies. Knowledge, rituals, and habits reinforced present-oriented thinking. Planning for the future became abstract, almost mythical, rather than practical. Those who attempted to impose long-term vision often failed or faced resistance because the lived experience of most people could not support it. In this world, the future was a shadow, distant and uncertain. People did not ignore it out of laziness or ignorance. They adjusted to reality as it was. Survival dictated attention to what was tangible. Every meal, every action, every choice carried immediate weight. The past and present framed life. The future remained largely out of reach. The consequence was a society profoundly shaped by immediacy. Achievements were fleeting, stability fragile, and expectations modest. Yet this focus allowed survival in a world where certainty was rare and danger constant. The inability to plan far ahead was not a failure, it was a strategy. Life in the Middle Ages demanded that people live within the day, and in doing so, they preserved the possibility of enduring to see another.